What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best entertainment related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. We've talked on the YouTube channel about Dragon Age and this franchise, guys, that I've stated in the past that I believe it's being, as far as the continuation of this franchise is starting to have some development problems. And the proof is in the pudding if you kind of look into it. Dragon Age 4 has seen obviously some issues. It seems like some of those developers who were working on Dragon Age 4 were pulled from the project to work on other projects. And so I think, guys, what I want to really stress here in this first segment of the show is why I believe that this is still a game that's going to happen. It's just been delayed, and I think that it is going to come around at some point, that being Dragon Age 4. And with that, I also want to talk about everything that we want in this game, or this upcoming game in the Dragon Age franchise. And when I say we, guys, I mean, mainly talking about myself here, but I would love to hear some of your guys' opinions as well in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So number one, guys, as far as Dragon Age 4 is concerned, I think that this franchise has kind of been, it's kind of had this build up, right? And I think that Dragon Age 4, I just want to see a continuation, right? I want to see some more of the same, but I also want to see some differences as well as far as the story is concerned. I think that having the full open world scale and being able to really explore is incredibly important, especially with like a title like Dragon Age. And I think that one thing that would definitely be great for this game is having new environments, some new enemies, some new characters that are introduced. So look, I want to have some feelings of the same or similarities to the past, Dragon Age games, but I also want to have those differences. You want to have, some new characters. You'd like to have some new enemies that you go up against. You'd like to also have like just new environments, new locations that you can explore. I think with any game like this, like, Elder Scrolls or, Fallout, whatever it might be, guys, I think that a game like Dragon Age needs to have some similarities, obviously, like keep the core mechanics and gameplay there, but I think changing it up a little bit is definitely a good idea, especially when we're talking about the character development as well as, some of the new enemies that you can go up against, as well as just new locations you can explore at, for long periods of time, right? I think it's really important that we at least, have that. I'm not saying that I want them to kind of go in a completely new direction with Dragon Age. I think that, a continuation would be fine. If they want to go somewhere else within this world, I think that would be cool as well, with completely new characters. It might be interesting as well, but at the end of the day, I think probably the best bet would be to just continue where the last one left off. And then my next thing, guys, is, customization and things of that nature. I think that having, being able to really customize your character and the armor, equipment, things of that nature would be really awesome in this game. Whether we're talking from a single player perspective in the campaign, or if we're talking like if they're adding co-op elements or multiplayer elements, which we'll get to here shortly, I think that having more customization is a good thing, in my opinion, when it comes to a game like Dragon Age. I think we love, Elder Scrolls. We love games like The Witcher. I think that it's important that these games have some form of like customization, and so that would be another thing I would want to see in Dragon Age 4. The next thing that kind of leads me to is co-op as well as multiplayer. I think it's important, guys, that especially with Elder Scrolls Online, we've kind of seen what this as a title, what they've been able to kind of do with Elder Scrolls Online, and I would think that Dragon Age 4 could do something somewhat similar to what they're doing with Elder Scrolls Online. And obviously, people have, mixed feelings about Elder Scrolls Online, but at the end of the day, it's more ways you can connect with the franchise, and so that's what I think Dragon Age needs as well, is after you beat that single player story, or let's say a co-op story that you can that they add to it, maybe like some co-op missions that you can play with your friends. After you're done with the campaign, one or two times through, you're going to want to find other ways you can connect with the game. And I think that having multiplayer would certainly help this. It would help you, come back to the game over and over again instead of going to other games, which is, in the past with Dragon Age, you play, at least for myself, you play the story, and then after you're done, I usually just kind of move on to another game. I'd love more ways to connect with the franchise. And at the end of the day, I think that's one of the most important things moving into this title. It's just having more ways in which you can connect with the franchise. Because I think in the past, guys, the reason why they've been having development problems, at least in my opinion, is because not only are they, putting all their eggs into one basket, that being like a campaign, which is what we're thinking, at least at this point, but at the end of the day, you want to have a full package deal. You want to have a number of ways that you can connect with the franchise. And that's what more and more people, as far as consumers, want. You want to be able to connect with this franchise in more ways than one. And so that's what I think it would be really smart to add those things to Dragon Age 4. And then, guys, all in all, I know this might be somewhat controversial, but I've talked about this on a number of other games out there, and Dragon Age may very well do well with this, whether we're talking from a campaign perspective or like the full package or just like segments of it, is free to play. And so what I'm getting at here is Dragon Age 4, whether you're talking the entire game is free to play or you're talking like just the multiplayer aspects are free to play, I think that it could really do well having some free to play aspects to it. We look at the grand landscape of gaming as a whole, and you can see that there's a lot of games out there that are going free to play or have portions of them that are free to play, even if it's like only for a weekend, like GTA Online, or you have, Call of Duty Warzone, you got, Fortnite, Apex, you have a bunch of games that are AAA titles that are going free to play or have segments that are going free to play. And I think Dragon Age 4 would do really good with this, especially if they did it, say, with the online aspects. Maybe they make the online aspects somewhat of a cookie cutter type of multiplayer experience, but if they make it free to play, people are at least going to try it out, and it could end up being really successful. So those are all the things that I want to see in Dragon Age 4. I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you guys want to see from Dragon Age 4 from a story perspective, from a location perspective, enemies, from a co-op perspective, multiplayer perspective, or a cost basis perspective? What do you guys want to see in Dragon Age 4? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Dragon Age 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. You guys know that I'm a huge horror fan in, movies as well as gaming, and one of those is Resident Evil, guys. I absolutely love the Resident Evil franchise, and I gotta say, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard was my favorite Resident Evil game to date, and I've been, of course, really excited for the continuation of this franchise, and we finally got, a sneak peek as to what the next game is going to be, and that being a trailer for Resident Evil 8 Village, which I gotta say, all in all, after watching the trailer a few times through, I'm really excited about this game, to say the least. It's got kind of feels of previous entries as well as like Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, and so I'm really excited to see where this story goes next. And in this segment of the show, I want to talk about everything that we know so far about the game. So let's get into it. So guys, in an article that was written by Leon Hurley of Games Radar, Blue Umbrella, Evil Chris Redfield, and callbacks to previous games. And of course, what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to kind of break down the trailer here from just like some screenshots. After numerous leaks, we finally have a Resident Evil 8 trailer, or rather Resident Evil Village, as Capcom is insisting it's called. It's packed full of details that confirm a spate of previous Resident Evil 8 leaks were true, and because so much of this rumored information has been validated, we can fill in some huge gaps in the trailer. Now, some details from Capcom: this is actually called Resident Evil Village. Well, the developers say it is basically Resident Evil 8, and the 8 is styled in the logo. It's not taking the name. The full title is just Resident Evil Village. Capcom also says it's upping the ante on action, and that this iteration of the franchise will have no load times, a big selling point for PS5 and Xbox Series X so far. So look, really quick, guys, when I heard the name Resident Evil Village, at first I didn't really like it. I mean, coming off of Resident Evil Biohazard, that like just sounds really cool. And then you have Village. But after I kind of watched the trailer a few times through, saw the logo and all of those things, I'm starting to really kind of like the name Village. I'm excited to see what that really all entails, right? And within a village. I mean, Biohazard was done mainly in like one location, whereas Village might be an entire village and you're able to kind of have open world elements and such. So it kind of excites me. The story that's been revealed officially is that this follows the story of Ethan, the surviving hero of Resident Evil 7 who's gone back to living a normal life. However, Chris Redfield, undergoing yet another visual redesign, is somehow responsible for turning Ethan's life upside down, which we will get into, and is referred to as Dark this time around. Now, Chris Redfield going villain, I kind of like the concept. One thing I'm not too excited about, guys, is they're upping the ante on action, which is what Capcom said. I don't really like that. I think that this is mainly a horror game that has action elements within it. And so now they're trying to add more action to it, which might be a better selling point. But we've seen this in the past with games like Dead Space, games like Fear. These are, horror games and horror franchises that have ended up going on an indefinite hiatus because they went from what made the game so good, that being horror with action elements, and changing the formula with their most recent games from action with horror elements. And so what I'm getting at is I just don't want Resident Evil to make the same mistake. Now, they have in the past had, more action than horror, but I'm just saying that it kind of concerns me when they say they really want to up the ante on action. We'll have to see as, time, comes around for this game to end up, releasing, and we'll kind of be able to get, sink our teeth really into the totality of what they mean by upping the ante on action. Now, it doesn't sound good for either Ethan or Chris. This ominous phrase opens up the trailer but never confirms who the he is. Events in the trailer suggest Ethan is having a really bad time. Yeah, it pops up, guys. His story comes to a close. It's like a Chris being referred to here, apparently now corrupted in some way. This key art up there at the top, for example, shows the new Dark Chris apparently supporting a very mold-like splash on his face. And so, yes, maybe it's Chris, but who knows? Maybe it's Ethan. They might be trying to get, they're trying to play mind games here. They want you to think it maybe is one person, but it's actually someone else. Ethan and Maya have settled down. Maybe. In the trailer, we hear a woman who appears to be Maya, Ethan's wife and former operative of the Connections. She's reading this creepy poem out. Long ago, a young woman went with her mother to pick berries for her father. It was hard work, but the forest greeted them with a dark, cold silence. The bush is empty, yet determined to find the berries, the rascal broke free of Mother's grasp and vanished into the trees. Mother's worried cries faded fast, and the girl ran on over vine and under branch and into the forest. Leaks have suggested that the two have had a child in the intervening years since Resident Evil 7, which could potentially be the baby that features later in the trailer. However, the leaks also talk about hallucinations that make it difficult to distinguish reality, so this might not be for real. For reasons, hold that thought. The village looks lovely in the creepy fog. And I gotta say, guys, from the screenshots and just really from the trailer as a whole, I thought that the graphics, like for the people, like the characters, I thought could have been a little bit better, but the environments look really good. The village has been referred to as a character in its own right by Capcom, and I absolutely love that. Here we can see it in all its rustic European charm. So it'll be interesting, guys. And when we're talking about like the village as a whole, I mean, it looks like it's a pretty big town, right? So maybe, there's going to be these semi-open world or full open world elements to it. According to a developer message from Capcom, this symbolic effigy shows so much that the developer debated whether or not to actually put it in the trailer. However, at this point, it's hard to read anything from it. Sticks, bird wings, and some sort of parasite. The creature in the middle isn't a clear match for anything in the Resident Evil universe, but does resemble a G embryo. However, that would link things to the G virus that made William Birkin in Resident Evil 2, and nothing like that appears in the trailer. Now, look, I never played Resident Evil 2, guys, so, see, what I'm hoping is that they kind of bring things around where, they kind of give some transparency and they kind of reveal certain things. Now, the thing about it is that, obviously they brought back, they had the Resident Evil remakes and such, but at the end of the day, guys, I mean, I didn't play the original Resident Evil 2, and so I'm not sure how that's all going to work, what they're planning on doing. I wouldn't be surprised if they did this, though, because they started doing some of these Resident Evil remakes. If they have some things in Resident Evil 8 are going to be, kind of show kudos to the older games. Now, there's a symbol, guys. There's a spooky symbol that's on the floor. Obviously, it was shown a few times in the trailer, but doesn't mean too much, at least as of right now. There looks like there's going to be puzzles, of course, in this game. This is obviously a puzzle with those circular indentations clearly made for some sort of missing pieces to be inserted, which I 100% agree. I like the concept of having some of that mystery, but also having like puzzles in it. I think that's going to make this kind of interesting. Now, this is something interesting. Is Ethan's baby a bioweapon? Resident Evil Village leaks have previously mentioned Ethan's baby playing a part in the game, but why isn't clear. A child appears in a couple of trailer shots, so a baby is definitely involved in some way. Given that both Ethan and his wife were both contaminated by the mold organism in Resident Evil 7, if they had a child, it would likely be a human mold hybrid and likely a new E-type, a bioweapon like Evelyn, the childlike villain behind everything in Resident Evil 7. So as far as the baby's concerned, guys, I'm not really sure where they're thinking of going with that. Maybe a bioweapon. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, I don't know all the lore and all of the story of Resident Evil. I've kind of, I just play these games, and so I don't look super into the depths of like, would this child be a bioweapon or something of that nature. But I will say this, it would be kind of interesting if they decided to go in that direction. Now, we do see an umbrella symbol in the trailer. Again, there are some strong puzzle vibes, and you'll probably have to collect each of those medallions at some point to unlock something. However, the interesting part is the umbrella symbol in the center. There's a lot to unpack here. Firstly, the logo of the company behind the initial Raccoon City incident that kickstarted the entire Resident City originated from the coat of arms of one of its key founders, Oswald E. Spencer. He was English, and there's a lack of obvious accents in the trailer. Is the village in the title in the UK? The other thing to note is that the logo is bluish. Blue Umbrella is a sort of counter umbrella that was starred to clean up the original organization's mess and fight bioterrorism. So once again, pretty interesting. Now this looks like the witch with Marguerite Baker's bug powers. One of the leaked characters was referred to as a witch with bug-like powers like Resident Evil 7's Marguerite. Specifically, the ability to disappear in a cloud of insects and reform elsewhere. This looks a lot like here. Her role or purpose isn't clear, but it doesn't look good. And I agree. What I gotta say, guys, is that some of the environments and such, one thing that I definitely took from the trailer is the environments and the characters. It looks like there's a strong emphasis on characters in this game, similar to that of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, but it looks like they're even upping the ante here with that. The character development looks really, really good here. So, is that Executioner Magini? It's brief, but this character looks like Executioner Magini, the hammer-wielding heavy in Resident Evil 5, given some of the other Resident Evil 4 hints that seem to be scattered around it. Looks like Village could be dripping back into older Resi lore after the complete reboot of number 7. And that would be very interesting to say the least. And then, is that Louis Serra from Resident Evil 4? It's a stretch, but a lot of fans are already speculating that this is Louis Serra, the flamboyant doctor from Resident Evil 4. He technically died during that game, but this is a series where people are notoriously bad at dying when they are supposed to. There's no proof here beyond having the same hair and a passing resemblance, but it would be a cool character to bring back. Guys, I have no idea. I think that this would be cool, though. Having some of these characters come back where there's more familiarity. And then, see, it seems like what Capcom's doing here is they're introducing new characters, but they're also bringing back some old characters. And I love that concept. So I wouldn't mind having Louis Serra come back without a doubt. I'm not sure if that's him, obviously, but it would be cool. is that blue umbrella. Resident Evil 7 ended with Chris Redfield saving the day with the Blue Umbrella Task Force, and we know that's him looking moody in the doorway of Ethan's house. However, while the organization is seen as shady as all hell, it has been operating on the right side of the law. So could this be a new group formed by a newly evil Chris? And that would be something really interesting. Obviously, guys, Chris Redfield, he's basically one of my favorite characters in this franchise. I don't want to see him go, like, bad, but at the same time, it would be interesting to see his character kind of, turn somewhat evil. And I'm hoping, though, that, that it doesn't end up like to his demise. Maybe he comes back to being a good guy after, this game or something, but maybe he's not. Maybe he's meant to die in this, in this game. I hope that's not the case, guys, but it would be interesting to see evil Chris Redfield. Now, did Ethan lose the hand again? In Resident Evil 7, Ethan had his hand cut off by his possessed wife, only to have it reattached moments later. Some people think that that's because he was infected by mold and gained a healing factor. However, here he seems to have possibly lost the hand again. There's definitely a thumb there, but which lady looks like she's drinking his blood from what? A cut, a stump, and is it to get at the tasty E-type infection inside? I don't know. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say, guys, from some of the screenshots and then from the trailer, of course. Now, one thing we do know is werewolves. Werewolves. Now, this was something that was leaked, guys, a while back, that there were going to be werewolves in this game. When I first heard that there were going to be werewolves, I thought to myself, I don't really like it, but after thinking about it more, I thought, actually, this might not be a bad idea. We haven't seen something like this, really recently in Resident Evil, and I think that this would be kind of a new thing and kind of some new enemies that you could take on, because I think that's one really important thing with any video game out there, guys, is when you have a continuation of a franchise, always adding things that are similar, but things that are also different. Adding werewolves is something different. I love it. These are clearly one of the main monsters in Resident Evil Village. They look a lot like werewolves, but given the series scrapbook approach to monsters, they could be anything underneath from virus-powered, parasitic, derived, genetically mutated, or fungal. The comment that they are coming earlier in the trailer suggests there's a few of these around. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about werewolves, guys. Meet the new look super evil Chris Redfield, or is he? At this point, we've had original Resident Evil 1 Chris, the melon-armed Giganto Chris of Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6's big but not huge combat Chris, and Resident Evil 7's normal Chris version to point. He's never appeared the same from game to game, so why start now with Village introducing a stockier, gruff version of the character? He's also apparently evil now, seemingly killing Ethan's already shot wife with a frankly excessive 5 bullets to the face. However, given the leaks about hallucinations that are meant to make you unsure of what is real, could this all be a nightmare sequence? Although that said, there are also rumors that Chris has gone bad following the death of, and the game is all about his eventual end, which brings us neatly to his story comes to a close quote that started this whole breakdown off. Either way, it's great to see Resident Evil back and as mysterious as ever. Now, the whole thing with Chris Redfield, guys, yeah, it's very strange that they've kind of taken a different approach to what he looks like in each game. Now, the question is all this a hallucination? Is all this not real? Are you still Chris Redfield? You're not actually Ethan? Is Ethan going to be the one that actually dies here, not Chris Redfield? There's a lot of mind games here with the Resident Evil franchise, and I just hope they don't kill off Chris Redfield. I mean, look, he was one of the playable characters for a while in this franchise, and one of the main characters. I mean, so I don't want to, obviously seeing him go evil, kind of like a Darth Vader-esque kind of thing in the Resident Evil franchise would be interesting, but to me, I actually think that Ethan would actually be the one that potentially would die here. His story comes to a close because it's kind of like your story that you're telling. I don't think it's going to be Chris Redfield that's dying, in my personal opinion. But we'll have to kind of wait and see, guys. This is everything that we know so far about the game, guys. We can basically go based on what the trailer is showing us. And obviously, I'll keep you guys all up to speed as further information comes out. Let me know what you guys think, though, about Resident Evil Village. Are you guys excited about this? Or are you guys not too excited about it? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Resident Evil Village content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. Rockstar Games is one of those developers out there, guys. They kind of remind me of Naughty Dog. They're kind of a developer that loves having, really incredible graphics and great, story modes, and even, adding other things along those lines, like, even moving more so into a multiplayer perspective, and just doing visually stunning works of art within their games, but also, as always, having controversy. And one of their games, guys, that being Bully, had a number of controversies. I mean, all their games do in one way, shape, or form, but Bully had its own, of course, just by the name Bully. And I think that, I obviously have no insider information here, guys. I don't know if this was part of the reason that Bully 2 got canceled, but from what I understand, it was not that. But what I will get at is this, guys. I want to talk about in this segment of the show about Bully 2. We've talked about it now for a while on the YouTube channel. You guys can check out all that content here on the YouTube channel about Bully 2 that we've talked about. But I want to talk about in this segment of the show about everything that we want out of this game when it were, and if it ever does see the light of day. When I say we, guys, I'm talking about myself here and just going to give you guys my opinions. I know some of you are going to share similar opinions and some of you may not. I would love to hear yours if you don't agree in the comment section down below. So Bully 2, guys, this game obviously was in development. According to a number of sources, it was in active development over at Rockstar Games, and then of course it got canceled. Basically, it seems like there were some creative differences over at Rockstar. They felt that they didn't really know where the story was going, and they didn't just feel confident enough moving into Bully 2. And so then, of course, there's been talk that they're working on GTA 6 and all of that, and maybe as time goes, they're going to have more ideas that come to mind for, Bully 2 and what would really make this special. Now, it sounded like they were maybe going in the direction of going to college as the Bully, and kind of moving into the college aspect, or maybe it was some other, segment in the education system. But nonetheless, I think what I would love to see with Bully 2 is just a continuation. I think, look, I mean, I'm not saying that this has to be a massive franchise that has 7, 8 games that come out with it. But I'm saying, if you made another continuation, see where it goes. I think that there's definitely a fan base here behind Bully, and you made it kind of like a trilogy or something. You had middle school, high school, college, or something like that. I think would be kind of really a cool concept, and maybe that was originally what they were thinking, but then they decided not to go in that direction because of creative differences. But number one, I just want to see a continuation of Bully. At the end of the day, sure, it's controversial. Sure, it's got things in it that, I wasn't as big of a fan as some people are of the game, but I still respected it for what it was. It's kind of like LA Noire, another Rockstar game where, I didn't think at first I was going to like it very much, and then when I started kind of getting into it, seeing what it was all about, I enjoyed it, and the same thing here with Bully. So number one, I would like to just see a continuation. I think that they could really do some interesting things with the story, building upon the story, building upon the lore that they started with the first game, and then I would love to see some co-op elements. I would love to see some multiplayer elements in Bully 2. That being where, you can do things together with your friends, kind of like what you see with GTA Online, Red Dead Online. You could do a Bully Online where you're playing with your friends, you go around the campus and you're, causing anarchy and all these other, and just causing chaos essentially within the Bully universe. I think that would be something that would be a lot of fun. I would love to see that in Bully 2. Because they kind of have their footing now with the first Bully, and this has been a game that's been asked for so long, guys, it feels like. And I think that Rockstar should certainly do it, because I think that even if the game isn't as good as the first one, it would sell very well for Rockstar. It would make a lot of sense from a financial perspective, in my opinion. The next thing, though, guys, for me is I would love to see more customization in Bully 2. I think having, just a number of different things that you can do, whether it's having, being able to customize your character with different, all kinds of different stuff. Whether you're in class or you're, out and about doing different things, just having all kinds of different customizable options, I think would be awesome, because you see that in GTA, you see that in Red Dead, and there's a lot of options there. So I think I would love to see something along those lines as well. And then on top of all of that, I think what's really important is having, a multitude of other ways in which that we can connect with some of these characters. I would love to see like new characters. I would love to see existing characters, obviously from the first Bully, but I think adding upon what they started, having like some new characters, some new enemies that you're going up against, some new, just new locations and new environments, I think would be really awesome as well. That leading to a semi-open world to a full open world scale, which I think would be absolutely awesome, being able to like have an open like world or a semi-open world where you're able to just walk around the entirety of the campus and things of that nature. I think would be absolutely awesome. But all in all, guys, we're kind of picking, little things here and there that we certainly would want out of this game. But I think that Bully 2 would do really good on the next-gen consoles. Updated graphics and I mean, honestly, I think that, as a community who, of people that really enjoy the Bully franchise, or at least the first game, I think it's important that they continue this. Now, the question is will they? I mean, and honestly, that they canceled it doesn't sound good, but Bully, that obviously that they were working on it, shows that it's still on their mind. It's something that they were looking at doing without a doubt, and kind of going into like the early stages of development. So what I'm getting at is don't write off Bully 2 at this point as of yet, right? I think that after GTA 6 comes out, after maybe Max Payne 4 comes out, or an LA Noire 2 comes out, then you may very well start hearing more rumblings of Bully 2. But let me know, guys, in the comment section below, what are the things that you guys want to see out of Bully 2? Are they similar to what my opinions are, or are they different ideas? Let me know. And for more Bully 2 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. I love the first two Sherlock Holmes movies, guys. They are a lot of fun. They're just a fun movie that you go to the movie theater, and it's kind of just a fun, blockbuster film that you sit down, eat your popcorn, drink your Coca-Cola, and just enjoy the movie and in its entirety with the story, the action. They've actually added a lot to it, and the characters, of course, right? Robert Downey Jr., Jude Law do a fantastic job of the characters, and I think even the supporting cast and such do such a phenomenal job, and I really enjoyed the first couple of movies here. Now, the first Sherlock Holmes I thought was better than the second, but even at that, I still like the second one without a doubt. In this last segment of the show, I want to talk about Sherlock Holmes 3. So obviously this has been, in development, and I think that, one thing that, that's been happening is a lot of shifting has been happening in the movie industry, in the video game industry, where a lot of these projects that were going to come out at one point are being pushed back till later on in the year, or later on the following year. So I want to talk about where is Sherlock Holmes 3 and when can we expect this movie to come out. So let's get into it. So guys, Sherlock Holmes 3 is scheduled to release in 2021. It's been pushed back amongst tons of other movies that have been pushed back as well, but it is scheduled for December 22nd of 2021, and I gotta say that you gotta take these release dates for any of these movies with a pinch of salt, simply because when we're talking about the pandemic that's been going, throughout our world, it has changed things in a drastic way. But what it's done is it's pushed a lot of movies back that are, for their theatrical release dates. And what it's causing is actually tons of like big time movies and blockbuster movies that are all going to be coming out around the same time. We're talking, later this year. You got a lot of movies that are going to be coming out later this year. The competition is going to be at an all-time high, something we haven't probably seen in the movie industry ever. And so basically the rest of this year and then into next year, you're going to have competition throughout the course of the years. And then, of course, there's going to be new things that are coming out and new movies and such. And so you're going to have to really think to yourself, are these movies going to be able to stick to these new release dates that they have? And with Sherlock Holmes 3, I can think of one movie it's going to be going up against, and that's just right off the top of my head, which is Avatar 2, which is going to be coming out very close to when Sherlock Holmes 3 would be coming out if it stays to that December 22nd, 2021 release date. So when I said to take these release dates with a pinch of salt, I don't think Sherlock Holmes 3 is going to want to compete with Avatar, especially around the same week that they're going to be releasing. So what I'm getting at is maybe it comes back some. Maybe it actually goes to, back to November, or it comes back, October, somewhere along those lines, or it gets pushed back even further into 2022. And here's the other reason why it may be pushed back even further is not only because of the competition that it's going to be going up against, but number two is also because of the production. When we're talking about, pre-production, principal photography, and then of course post-production, when you look at all of those things, whatever stage of development these movies are in, they went to a complete and utter halt because of the pandemic. So now they're behind, right? That's why they're obviously pushing these movies ahead. But at the same time, we don't know how everything is going to work out. Are they going to be able to get everything they need done for principal photography? Or are they going to have to continue going back, getting, more shots and things of that nature? So what I'm getting at is where is this movie at this point? Well, it's certainly going to be coming out, guys, at some point or another in the foreseeable future, but I think that it might even be pushed back even further, especially if development doesn't really ramp up here very soon, because these movies, guys, they're obviously, the studios aren't going to want to be in insane amounts of competition. Then on top of that, they're not going to want to rush a project. They wanted to take their time, especially something like Sherlock Holmes 3 that's going to make the studio a decent amount of money. So you're going to want to take your time with it, make sure that you get all the shots that you need and such. Don't want to cut any corners whatsoever. And I don't think that they will, but I'm just saying that with the pandemic, it has created something that we've never seen in the entertainment industry before, and that is tons of movies being bunched up together for a theatrical release that now there's going to be so much competition and there's only so many eyeballs, right? I mean, if No Time to Die is coming out around the exact same time as the next Jurassic World and they're coming out around that same period of time, a lot of times we're going to be looking at our spending dollars and you're going to have to decide between one or the other. Now, if you want, you could of course go see both of them, but some people aren't going to be able to have that luxury. Lots of people out there are only going to be able to pick one or the other. And so what I'm getting at is that's less people that are going to be going to each individual movie. And then on top of that, we don't know what the restrictions are in the movie theaters. Are they only going to be able to fill half capacity? Are they going to be able to do full capacity? And, what is that all going to look like? And if they can only do half capacity, then the ticket prices are going to get inflated in a significant way, which means a lot of people just won't even go to the movie theaters, which also could create the possibility that these movies go directly to streaming services or the personalized streaming services that these studios are now having, whether that be Netflix or, Disney Plus, and the list goes on and on. So this pandemic has created something very interesting in the movie industry. But the December 22nd release date, I hope they're able to stick to that with Sherlock Holmes 3. I just don't know if they're going to be able to because of this pandemic. But let me know, guys. What are you the most excited about with Sherlock Holmes 3? What are you excited about? Do you think they'll be able to stick to this December 22nd release date? Or do you think it'll get pushed back even further? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Sherlock Holmes 3 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.